On February 18th, 2016, I uploaded my first ever rebuild. It was a Lakers rebuild back when it was called My League. I had no idea what I was doing, and I thought that maybe it could be something that I loved doing for a long time. And it has been. It has been something I have been doing for over 9 years now. It has been pretty much my everything. It has been something I do every single day, and it has been one of the greatest passions I have ever had in my life. Today, here on July 6th, when I record this video, it is very likely that this is going to be the last video that I have ever uploaded, I ever make. The last time you guys will probably ever see me on YouTube. I have decided that I am going to be retiring, calling it a career, putting this behind me, and it has not been an easy decision. It is not something that I have taken lightly. It is something that, yes, probably is a long time coming just for me personally. But I know it is the right time. I do. I don't really know how this video is going to go. I don't really know what I'm supposed to do in it. I think part of me wanted to just get on here one last time and kind of say goodbye because, yes, this is probably pretty sudden. And this is probably unexpected for a lot of you because there was never really any signs that this was going to be ending or going away anytime soon. And I fully get it that there could be some shock about that. Not that it's going to really change any of your lives very much, but I know it'll certainly change mine. To be completely honest and transparent with a lot of you, because I think that's what you probably all want and probably what you all deserve right now, is that the reality for me is that I haven't enjoyed a 2K game in a very, very long time. I've said this before, it's a very cookie cutter kind of thing. When I sit down and I spend my hour and a half recording one of these pretty much every single day, I know what it is. I know what's going to happen 9 times out of 10. I know how the video is going to go. I know how it's going to end. And that's just the reality of what the game is. It's how it's always been. It's probably never going to change. And it's just what it is. It is what it is. And for me, I haven't enjoyed playing this game. I haven't enjoyed this franchise in a very long time. But I did it because it was something that really tied me into a wonderful, wonderful community of all of you guys. And I love basketball. Don't get me wrong. This has nothing to do, with me hating basketball. I am still a diehard NBA fan. I am never going to stop watching that league. I am never going to stop caring about the big trades, the big signings, all that fun stuff. But for me, it is time to step away from the 2K world. And part of that is me also stepping away from content creation because that side of me that was always, the super creative guy, the guy that wanted to be the first to do a video on a big trade, whether we're talking about it, doing a rebuild, the first guy to get out the tweet, that part of me is just not where it was several years ago. And I think it's slowly kind of been deteriorating as I've gotten older. And for me, I know it's the right time now to step away. I wanted to do it near the end of a cycle of 2K. This is something that is not sudden. It's something that I haven't been thinking about for days or weeks. This is something that I've been thinking about for months. This is a very, very long time coming. So this, for me, is now is the right time. We are in the middle of pretty much the most dead season in basketball. And the NBA is not on a pause, but it's pretty much as quiet as it's actually going to get. So, I just felt for me that this was the right time to step away from basketball, step away from content creation, and really just find something new. I've taken many breaks on this channel. As I mentioned, my first rebuild was uploaded back in 2016. That was February of 2016, which is, a few months away from almost a decade ago, which is absolutely insane to think that I'm still sitting here to this day. To me, I'm still that 16-year-old kid sitting behind a microphone having no idea what I'm possibly doing. But, I think back even further than that. Many of you, probably none of you, were even here for the first video ever posted on this channel. It was me and some of my buddies from high school playing Star Wars Battlefront. I didn't know what I wanted to do in terms of the content creation space. Back then, basketball was certainly not my first love. I liked the game. I liked watching the NBA, but it was never really my thing. I didn't know enough about it to really get into it and, play 2K at a point where I could upload it to others and think that people would actually enjoy it. And eventually, I found my niche because I watched other people do it. There's a lot of thank yous I have to do in this video and a lot of thank yous that I really think are very, very deserved. I'll start out with, first, I'm sure many of you know pretty much all of these people, but I'll start out with Matt, also known as 6 Rings of Steel. We've done a lot of rebuild challenges together over the years. he was the first person I ever watched do a rebuild, and he has been a huge, huge inspiration of mine for a very, very long time. I am so happy that he is where he's at now in his content creation space. I know he's doing a lot of draft stuff, and stuff like that. And he has grown to such a point where it's just so so crazy to sit back, and see where he is at now from when I watched his first rebuild, all the way back. I think it was in 2015. So, it's a big thank you to him. I want to say thank you to Kenny, who's kind of I don't know if I want to say creator of the rebuild space, but when you think about a 2K rebuild, most people think of Kenny or King of the Fourth Quarter, who, similar to Matt, was a crazy, crazy inspiration to me. Back then, I never missed a video from either of those two guys. And I had, kind of always hoped that one day I would get to the point where I could kind of be one of the big boys with them, if you know what I'm saying. So, whether or not you think I'm up there with them, I probably don't think I am. But I know that I have enjoyed this for a very long time. It has been awesome seeing both of those guys kind of truly get to where they are, not only in their content creation lives, but in their personal lives as well. I don't think they're not necessarily people I talk to on a daily basis, but, they're people that I do kind of keep an eye on. I kind of see where they're going, what they're doing. And it's amazing. I mean, for God's sakes, man, Kenny's on ESPN these days. It's absolutely insane. And then finally, and I'd certainly say most importantly, Brady or Crushables, who is another content creator, another 2K YouTuber. I'm sure many of you are very, familiar with him, probably watch his rebuild as well. He's fantastic. I highly recommend you do. If you do not already. For those of you who do not know, Crushables has made my thumbnails for years and years now. And he's probably been one of my closest, friends on YouTube. It's just one of the ways to say it, I guess. He's been somebody who has been about as reliable, as a, guy you've never met in real life as he possibly could have. So, I say a big thank you to him as well. I say that to all three of those gentlemen who have all been inspirations for me, in so many different ways, and in really ways that I never actually thought it would ever be possible. Part of the reason I was a little hesitant to, make a video like this is because I really didn't know what else I was going to say. I think back fondly of some of the earliest years of me playing 2K and me doing rebuilds. I remember, I think in the height of the pandemic, I actually went back and I did a live stream of me watching some of my old videos back then. If you scroll deep enough on my page, I'm sure you can find them, but they are truly some of the funniest and some of the worst pieces of content you can probably ever find on this, platform we call YouTube. It is not something that I ever thought I would be doing. 16-year-old me sat down and, said almost 10 years from now, would I still be doing this? I would have almost certainly told you no. I remember when me and my friends, we actually used to have, a combined channel. We did a channel, I think it was 3 or 4 of us, and we played a lot of Grand Theft Auto on it. It was a very weird time in my life. I didn't know really what I wanted to do in the content space. I think back in high school, I always had a lot of friends. I played 3 sports in high school. I was always very, very busy, but, there was always a part of me that said, hey, I'd love, making things. I love, creating things. And, this was something I was always interested in. I didn't know how to really get to the point where it could ever be something that I did on a really regular basis. And eventually we all made that channel together. Eventually we did all go our separate ways. And I made my own channel. And I remember telling myself, I don't know what this is going to be. It was something that, if I'm being honest with you, I was a little embarrassed about. I didn't really want people at school to find out about it. Eventually people did, and it was something that I was always a little, self-conscious about. I thought it was something that people would think was weird. It was for a little while. It was never really anything that I was, going around bragging about. The one question people always would come up and ask me and say, they said, oh, what's this? And I'd tell them a little bit, and they say, oh, you must make good money doing that. And I'd laugh and I'd chuckle because I'd maybe get a check for $40 every month, and it was never really anything crazy. But, I think back to those days, and they were some of the happiest I ever had, making videos, because I was such an innocent I had no idea what I was doing. I was genuinely, as they say, doing it for the love of the game. That is the easiest way I can say it. And, from there, crazy enough, I think I've mentioned this before, I wrote my college admissions essay on YouTube on the content creation that I do, and, where I see this going and where this could possibly take me. Eventually got into college, tried to make it work throughout 4 years of college, a crazy up and down 4 years of college. I was a sophomore in college when the pandemic hit. And it was very, very weird, but part of it was almost a blessing in disguise, because I got to be home. I got to still do school. I obviously got to make videos, and, From there, I just kept going as much as I possibly could. I certainly wasn't super consistent with it or anything, but I'm sure many of you remember, if you were here, 5+ years ago, my channel got hacked. It was absolutely terrible. It killed pretty much all the momentum I had at that time. My videos were crushing it back then, and I came back eventually, a few months later, and it was not the same. And that's not to say that I wanted to grow this thing into some crazy empire where I had 100,000 plus subscribers and anything like that. But, it felt like we were going in a direction like that. And obviously all that was upended at that time. We did get it sorted out after months and months of back and forth with YouTube support. And I got back to really just doing the thing I always have loved, which is making content about basketball. And, crazy enough at that point, loving the 2K franchise. So it's not where it was then. My love for really any of it, it's changed a lot. I still, think at heart, I'll probably always be somebody who really is interested in the content creation space. But for me right now, I think it is time for me to step away. So, I just don't really know where else, this is going to go. It feels like we have done what you would refer to as a plateau, and there's nothing wrong with that. It just feels like I have done this for so long. I do the same thing every day that at some point it just has to be time to shake things up for me personally a little bit. And look, there are so many of you that I recognize by name, whether it's, a comment on one of my videos, whether it's, a Twitter DM. I've even met 3 or 4 of you in public before. It's absolutely crazy, just getting to the point where people want to watch my videos. People occasionally will recognize me in public, as crazy as that is. It has been one of the joys of my life saying that I got to, do this for as long as I did, and I got to build a community as great as I did. There are some of you that comment on every single one of my videos, and I will always forever appreciate and love all of you. There are some of you who probably watch all of my videos and have never commented on a single one, and I feel the exact same way about you. There's some of you who probably pop in every now and then, watch a video, and don't think about me for 3 months. I thank you very much. There is so many different ways that I thought this was going to end. Ultimately, I never thought it would really be a choice. I always thought there would be some big event in my life that restricted me from actually being able to do this, whatever it was. But it's just time, and the time comes for everybody. It's not an easy thing for me. Again, there's no script for this video. There's no notes. I'm kind of just rambling at this point. But for me, there was never really a perfect time to do this, and I thought if there was the better time, it would be now. Before the new cycle of 2K starts, before any of all that craziness of the fall happens, I thought now would be good. So, I don't know if any of you are going to care enough to get to the point, this part of the video, but if those of you who, are thinking you're never going to hear from me again, that's probably not true, because I don't plan on going anywhere on Twitter. Obviously, I'm still going to be tweeting about the NBA and the things I love about basketball and all the big trades. You guys know this. My Twitter DMs are always open. If you have any questions for me, if you want to just chat for a little while, it's always going to be open. But for me and, where I'm at in my personal life, I got a lot of stuff going on. My actual job is getting a little bit more crazy. I'm going to be working more. I'm also going to be moving in about a month. I mean, it's just crazy for me right now. And I really did kind of know that this was going to happen at some point. If you had told me, a year ago that it would be happening now, I probably would not have believed you. But if you had told me 10 years ago that I would still be doing this, I also wouldn't have believed you. So I have nothing but gratitude for this, this ride that we've been on together. There have been a lot of ups. There have certainly been a lot of downs. And, throughout all of it, I know there is a great community of you guys that have supported me, pretty much through this entire thing. So, okay, I don't really know what else to say at this point. I don't really, again, have any notes. There was nothing that I wanted to really hammer on outside of the things I've already talked about. So, again, I understand this is really sudden, and this is something that probably almost none of you were expecting. But, I want you to just know that this is, again, not something I'm just doing on a whim. I'm not just, doing this and saying, hey, I'm going to be back in a month. This isn't a break. I genuinely am at the point where I just feel like I'm done. So, I'm never going to say never. If 2 years from now, I refine my love for content creation and maybe 2K's changed some things up and I have a little bit more time, maybe I'll get back into it. But I don't want anybody to actually think that that's even, a strong possibility at this point, because I wouldn't say that it is. I think with where I'm at now in my life, again, personally, professionally, it just makes the most sense for this to be the end for me, because again, all stories, good or bad, mediocre, whatever, they do have an end. And for me, in the content creation space, I think this is mine. I do. I genuinely do. I also don't know if any of them are watching this, but if any of my, friends in real life are actually watching this video at this point, I wanted to say thank you, because I've told a lot of you that I've been thinking about this for months now, and I've chatted with a lot of you about it, and where I was going to go, what I was going to do, what I was going to say, and all of you gave me some great advice. And again, pretty much nobody watching this video probably knows who they are, but if you are watching it, I really just wanted to say thank you. I think at this point I have rambled on enough. I think I have said pretty much everything I needed to say. I always told myself, and I've probably said this 6 times in this video already, but the day that this felt like a job, I was probably going to step away, because it has never been a job to me. It's been something that I do, that I love. Certainly getting, a paycheck from YouTube or Google every month is nice, but it has never, ever been the reason that I have done this. And, if I'm being quite honest with you, I think this has felt like more of a job than something I'm truly passionate about and love, probably for months, if not a year plus at this point. So, you know what? We all reach our breaking point, whether it's, a job, whether it's a relationship, whether it's a sport we love, whatever it is, we all get there with something. And as I also mentioned, every story, good, bad, ugly, it all has an ending at some point. And today, this is going to be mine. So I have really not ever had to do anything like this. This has been pretty much the most consistent thing in my life for almost a decade now. It is something that I have, great admiration for the people who continue to do it, who have done it longer than me, and the people who do it at a much higher level than I do. And I really admire all those people. And honestly, if I had ever told myself that I'd gotten to the point where I have 34,000 people in a community that genuinely seem to care about me, I would have told you were crazy. I want to leave you all with this. Never let anybody tell you anything's too crazy. I had a lot of people tell me 10 years ago that this would never be anything. This was just something that you were going to do. It was going to be a little bit of an embarrassment for you, something that people would crack a joke about every now and then. And in many ways it was. And you know what? I always told myself deep down that, fuck them. Go do it anyways. Who cares? Who gives a flying fuck what other people think about you? Because I was also the kid back when I was 16 years old that said, you know what? I do care what people think about me. And here I am at 25 years old, nine and a half years later. And let me tell you, it does not matter at all. Do what makes you happy, do what you love, and do it for the right reasons. And that's what I wanted to leave you all with here today. I am always going to love basketball. I am always going to love the NBA. But at some point, things have to change. And today is that day. Once again, I wanted to let you guys all know you can find me on Twitter. My Twitter is always in the description of every single one of my videos. I'm sure the icon would have popped up at some point by now in this video as well. And I hope to chat with some of you on there. Again, I'll still be active on Twitter. I'm not going anywhere on there. I'll still tweet out my thoughts about, basketball and trades and pretty much anything I've always tweeted about. But probably going to be it for rebuilds for me. I don't see myself ever going back to this. It's just gotten to the point where I really don't enjoy it anymore, and I don't think it's something that I probably ever will again. So a tough decision for me, a tough day, but I know deep down it is the right decision for me. So one last time, I wanted to say thank you to all of you. There has been, no greater joy in my life. I have had a lot change over the last 9 years in my life. I have had a lot of ups. I've had a lot of downs. But for me, this has always been really one of the things that I am most passionate that I can tell people that I did, and I did every single day. I love you all very much. I say it at the end of every video. It is something that I truly and genuinely mean, and I cannot begin to thank all of you enough for ways that you have changed my life that you will never even know. God bless you all. Go Celtics, and hopefully we'll catch up at some point. I love you.